Welcome to Real Estate 360, an informative and engaging hour discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Tom K. Wilson, provides you with insight and guidance from his years of experience as a successful real estate entrepreneur on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate, and much more. Now, here's your host for Real Estate 360, Tom K. Wilson.
Welcome back, and thanks for tuning in to our Real Estate 360 program, your number one source for all of your real estate needs and education. We're broadcasting from the number one business radio station in the San Francisco Bay Area, KDOW AM 1220, the Wall Street Business Network. I'm Tom Wilson, your host for the 2 p.m. Wednesday edition of the Real Estate 360 that comes to you 7 times a week, Monday through Friday at 3 and Wednesday and Thursday at 2 o'clock with my co-host Joe Cachera and Laurie Graymont. Be sure to tune in to those other hours for other guests and other topics on the subject of real estate. Laurie Graymont and I focus on real estate investing and what goes on in that arena, and but we have many guests that cover the broad aspects of that area of information. If you can't make the live show, you can catch our podcast on RE360radio.com, and you can catch my programs on TomWilsonProperties.com or on iTunes or on YouTube. Got a great program for you today. Geraldine Barry is back with us, president of SJREI Association and the publisher of the REI Voice. And it's great to have her with us. We're going to be talking about the dynamics of this marketplace, where we've been, where we're going, why. And we'll talk certainly in general terms for the nation, but we will also spend a little time on what's going on in this dynamic, unique place called the Bay Area and Silicon Valley. I want to let you know about some events and things that are coming up. First of all, every first Thursday of the month, with rare exception, is the SJREI Association monthly meetings, where Geraldine's organization has monthly speakers. We have her Jump Start program coming up on March 8th. I guess that one, when this broadcast will be passed, but there will be other ones. Go to sjrei.org and you'll see when the next one is. I'm going to go to a syndication seminar in Dallas on March 26, 27, and that's with Ken McElroy and others. And the reason for that is many of you have asked if you can participate in different investment programs that I have going, either in an equity or a debt position. And I want to learn how the current changes in the SEC regulations impact that, and the famous or infamous headlines about crowdfunding and so forth, so I can make sure that when we do that, we do it in a way that keeps those folks at SEC and the Feds off our back, and we do it correctly. March 29 is the Realty 401 Expo at Santa Clara Convention Center. We'll have a booth there. On April 1, I will be doing an interview at the Toll House at the monthly RE360 event. I'll be having Rick Knopf, who's the managing partner of Colliers on Mid-Peninsula, talking about commercial real estate. We have the KDOW program that was going to be an expo on April 5 has been canceled and will be rescheduled because the studio is moving to a new location with brand new facilities, and they needed some more time to take care of that, so watch for when that comes along. April 19, John Schaub, whom many of you may have heard of, been around 4 or 5 decades, is making a rare appearance on the West Coast, sponsored by our friends up in Marin at BAWB. It's an all-day class. And May 14, I'll be speaking at the NorCal RIA Sacramento Club with David Granzella's club up there, which is one of SJREI's counterparts up in on that area. And at the end of May, I'm going to be going to see firsthand the ground zero of the real estate crash in Detroit. Just my curiosity is just too much for me not to go see it firsthand. Go check that out. So I'll have a number of reports. And when I don't think I mentioned Summit at Sea with that I will be on for 9 days with Peter Schiff, Tom Hopkins, Andy Tanner, Mauricio Rauld, many others, and I will be doing some interviews and bringing information back to you on that. For those of you who don't know Geraldine, she's the founder and president of FJREI Association, the premier education and networking association for real estate investors in the Bay Area. Under Geraldine's leadership, SJREI has grown from a half dozen investors 12 years ago to a vibrant organization with over 200 investors attending monthly meetings. They've won awards from the National Real Estate Investors Association in several categories. She's an avid investor herself, which is always important. You know, I always promote that when you look for a team, whether they be your accountant or lender or broker, they should be ones who predominantly have experience and operate in the same field you're interested in this case, real estate investing. You don't want to work with a insurance person who occasionally gets insurance for a rental property. You want someone who predominantly does that. So that's your advantage in going with a team like Wilson Investment Properties. They've picked out all those professionals who are experts in those areas as well. As an avid investor herself, Geraldine has interviewed many real estate pros, many of whom are guest speakers at SJREI. And again, they've been going for 12 years, and I've had the pleasure of knowing Geraldine and being a supporter and associate of it for over 10 years now. And I can certainly attest to the fact that it has produced many guest speakers who've become friends, and I've learned a lot from, and has saved me a lot of money and earned me money, and it's just a great networking place, and I highly recommend it. Geraldine also provides coaching, and she certainly has a broad skill set that you can take advantage of. She lives locally in Silicon Valley and has 2 wonderful children that I've had the pleasure of watching grow up. If you want an economics newsletter on how the economy is impacting real estate, you can go to tomwilsonproperties.com and sign up for that. It's a weekly short read that summarizes what's going on. We have a report you can get on how to select the best metro and product to invest in. We always are receptive and love to hear your questions. And we also can provide free consultation for what to do with your investment objectives in the real estate area. So we welcome Geraldine back. We had her recently, and today we're going to talk about what's going on in this dynamic marketplace that we're in. And Geraldine, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Tom. My pleasure to be here again.
Wow. You know, I've been in Silicon Valley for 44 years now, and when I arrived, my boss at Fairchild was gone. The place was reorganized, and everybody said that all the jobs were moving out and Silicon Valley was dead.
So it's the same old story. Cycles are kind of predictable.
Yeah, the doomsdayers keep coming out, and I think my take on it is whether when you have this much synergy, when you have this many legs of a stool in one place, it's really, really hard to replicate that somewhere else. As it turns out, there are 57 places in the world that have tried to emulate Silicon Valley with less success. And certainly we have a lot of pressures from our government politics, both federal and state, and other things that make it hard to do business in Silicon Valley. But the pluses still outweigh the minuses, and as a result, we just have a crazy real estate market. When some of our guests come in town, like Bruce Norris, first thing they say is, now keep in mind that anything I say doesn't apply to Silicon Valley, because this is one crazy place.
We're all afraid of this market. Well, I think you have to live here and be immersed in this valley to really understand the Bay Area and how it performs. And one thing we were discussing recently is that the valley is over 50 years old now, so it's not a newbie anymore. And I was in Ireland just recently, and Dublin, that had the worst recession it's enjoyed for years, or not enjoyed, but all those tech companies, Google, Apple, all of them, Oracle, are really having a big presence in Dublin. And so they're creating mini Silicon Valleys all over the place. And so the valley is not going anywhere.
Ireland did a pretty nice job, didn't they, in bootstrapping themselves out of a big mess.
I think so. And I'm proud to see that they didn't collapse under the weight of all the debt, but they still have some significant issues, but they are definitely coming back. And Facebook has its European headquarters there in Dublin. And it was Bono, I don't know if you know the story, who suggested to the COO, Sheryl Sandberg, that they may consider Ireland for that when they were looking at Europe and where they would locate. And it's funny how relationships do matter. That happened. And so Facebook does have their European headquarters located right there in Dublin, and there's a big technology boom going on, and there's a sister relationship between San Jose and Dublin that has fostered lots of startups. And so it's just very interesting to see things as they evolve. But I love living in Silicon Valley, and I love the opportunity to live in this innovative environment. We say in Southern California they have the beautiful people, but we got the brainy people up here, and I prefer the latter myself.
I think we have some pretty good looking people too up here. my guest today is, even though it's radio, it's certainly included in that.
Oh, thank you, Tom.
I love that you in spite of making your home permanent home here, that you still enjoy your roots and go back often and bring back to us what you see happening there and give us a broader international perspective when you return from a trip.
I think we can be kind of insular, and I see my own son. He says, I don't need to learn another language. I live in America. And I'm just like, that's not the way Europeans think. So I'm trying to change that. But I love bringing my children back there. I love the history that we have there. I'm one of 8 kids. And so to connect with family, and it's the only time I cut off completely from technology is when I go back to Ireland, which is once or twice a year. And so I'm blessed to be able to do that. Thank you, real estate.
We have in studio today Geraldine Barry, who's the president of SJREI Association and also the publisher of REI Voice magazine on real estate investing. And when we come back after the break, we're going to start talking to Geraldine about folks that she's interviewed and talked to who are movers and shakers around here and can tell us what's going on, maybe where things are headed. So this is Tom Wilson with Real Estate 360. This is KDOW 1220 AM, the Wall Street Business Network. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
For more information on today's program, visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Welcome back to Real Estate 360, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Again, your host for today's edition of RE360 Radio, Tom K. Wilson.
Welcome back. In studio with us today, Geraldine Barry, back with us. And she is the president of the SJREI Association and publisher of REI Voice and a contributing editor to San Jose Mercury News Real Estate section. And it's great to have her with us today. We're talking today focusing mostly on what's going on in this dynamic marketplace. And I don't know where we should start off other than maybe you want to talk a little bit about what we've learned from the cycle up to date, and then we'll move forward.
Sure. Well, one thing I thought that is at the top of my head right now, according to Dr. Mark Fleming, the chief economist for CoreLogic, let's talk about home prices. Last year, home prices rose 11%. The highest rate of annual increase since 2005. I think it's instructional to talk about this. And
that's where, Geraldine?
That's nationally.
Is that U.S.? Yeah.
And 10 states reached new all-time price peaks. And he expects the rising prices to attract more sellers, unlocking this pent-up supply, which will have a moderating effect on prices in 2014. But then if you look at the numbers that they projected and that they say they're expecting prices to rise 9.7% in January and 0.2% month over month. So those are some numbers that come from a really good source. CoreLogic is one of my go-to companies to get that. And I think that's what we're looking at now. The appreciation has occurred because of the increase in value of properties. And so it's pushed people into a positive equity position. So now we're going to see more of the organic market sellers coming to the fore. And initially we had a lot of distress sales, and those are drying up completely. And we're probably seeing the hedge funds move on too. They've picked up a lot of properties that they could buy at very discounted rates, and they'd cash flow greatly. But they're always looking for returns, and the returns now with this appreciation will be decreasing.
I'm, as many of my listeners know, I'm primarily a buyer in Texas, and I'm also a buyer here in the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. And I certainly would say I'm seeing the hedge funds starting to back off. When you think they started off at buying at caps of 10 and selling at 8, and now they have to buy at 5 and sell at 3.5, how many folks who are feeding money in those funds want to keep doing that? I would guess they're running out of that kind of money.
Yeah, and I think they move to the next opportunity. And in fact, they're buying hotels and different, in Europe, they're buying properties there. Even in Ireland, they're picking up commercial properties in Dublin. And so they move to where the money is, where the return is. The return is key. Whereas a small investor like you and I, Tom, I'm really a buy and hold investor.
Yep, and I am too. And I tell people, they say, well, why you're flipping? I say, well, it's, partly I have fun providing a product and enjoy the satisfaction of providing products to others who want to get started and contribute to their own retirement. Sure, I like the extra funds, but then money that I get from that, some of that I go put into more long-term holds. So
yeah. And
that's the ultimate gain. That's a nice passive. The long-term holds is more passive, right? This flipping business is very busy.
It's rife with risk too, as you know. But you are competent and you love a challenge, so you have done it very well. And you actually thrive when you have multiple fires to put out. Oh, we've discussed some of your projects.
I've tried to tell Ouija it's not the case, but you two must have talked,
You thrive on chaos, Tom Wilson.
What have we learned in these past few years here about the build-up and the crash and so forth, other than the importance of market timing?
Well, and I do, definitely market timing is something that you should always stay in touch with your market, no matter what. At least if you are knowledgeable about what's going on, you can make an educated decision if it's time to exit. But I think buying for cash flow is really key. And when we talk about interest rates and the way they're still very good right now, when you buy and you lock in interest rates that are this low, it's kind of like pushing in appreciation or locking in appreciation. And so that's a reason to do it. But cash flow is king.
Indeed. Always will be. Robert Kiyosaki has said it for 17 years, and a lot of others who are smart and successful agree with that too. Have Geraldine Barry with us today, president of SJREI Association. And we're talking about the market dynamics and what's going on right now. Stick with us, and we'll have more for you.
For more information on today's program, visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Welcome back to Real Estate 360, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Again, your host for today's edition of RE360 Radio, Tom K. Wilson.
We're back with Geraldine Barry here in studio, the president of SJREI. So, Geraldine, we're talking about the takeaways from what we've learned in this past several years of cycle, and talk about importance of timing and importance of having assets that produce cash. And there's you can do a lot of exciting things that are risky, and if you're lucky, you look like a genius and you make some money along that too. But there's no substitute for having some assets like real estate that produce income, are there?
Yeah, and I also think, Tom, in terms of market timing and cycles, getting out at the very bottom is not the goal. It's just around the bottom, and getting in out around the top and in around the bottom are just fine. I think sometimes people are greedy, and we've all heard the stories. I had somebody who had a great commercial building and he wouldn't work with the tenant. He lost the main tenant and then ended up losing the building. And so when the economy changes, it's like business. We have to navigate change too and accommodate people so that we can preserve our assets too. And sometimes that does in fact mean just taking a little less income, you know?
One of my favorite quotes is when the great-grandchild of the Lafitte Rothschild family, whom at one time was the wealthiest family in the world, was asked to what single thing he attributed his family's great wealth, and they said, by selling too soon. So, or not getting in or out of the exact bottom or top. You have a profit, or if it's good enough.
It's good enough.
Because if you wait too long, you can hit a cliff.
Yes, and I think paying taxes is not the worst thing in the world either. If you can't exchange or something, but so what if you have to pay some taxes? If you can secure $500,000, there's a lot of strategies that can be successful. And I think that, I think even when you sold one of your houses here in San Jose, I was saying to you, Tom, move into it for 2 years and then you can make $500,000 tax-free. You neglected to do that, move out of your house in Saratoga. But there are strategies that you really can work, and they're there to be taken advantage of.
So let's look, good input, good thoughts. Moving forward, where do you, from the folks you're talking to, can you tell us what some of those folks are saying about what's happening now and where we're headed?
Well, the Silicon Valley has been fueled by IPOs, job growth, and these are good, high-paying jobs. And the Bay Area is the number one job market in the U.S. for job creation. And so the Silicon Valley, and that encompasses a large area now. It's not just San Jose. San Francisco is...
And it's not just computer chips and internet.
No, yeah. We have our new stadium that's coming in here, 49er Stadium. We're getting very hip, and I think diversifying ourselves too. But I mentioned on a recent trip to Ireland that you have the high tech all over. I was in Paris as well, and you can see technology being incorporated to every facet of everybody's life. And when I see my nieces, they have iPods, iPads, they have all the things that we have and access to everything that we have.
Enabling tools.
Enabling tools. A few members of my family work for American companies in Ireland. And so it's interesting, but the internet revolution happened over a period of, from 2000 on. And you had the Industrial Revolution that took place over 50 plus years. So when I'm talking to economists now, we'll finish that thought after this break.
Okay, we'll be right back with Geraldine Barry. This is Tom Wilson on Real Estate 360, KDOW 1220 AM, the Wall Street Business Network. We'll be right back.
For more information on today's program, visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Welcome back to Real Estate 360, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Again, your host for today's edition of RE360 Radio, Tom K. Wilson.
Welcome back. Geraldine Barry's in the studio with us today, president of SJREI Association, Investors Association in Silicon Valley. And we're talking about folks that she has been interviewing and talking to and telling us something about where they think the market's going and what's happening.
So before the break, we were talking about the Industrial Revolution and how it happened over a period of 50 plus years, Tom. And then you have the internet revolution that happened since 2000. And so when you have that dramatic change that occurs over a short period, you have people that get kind of locked out. And Carol Rodoni, who's an expert here on the Bay Area, I had questioned her about that. Was she concerned about the middle class being squeezed out and declining across the board? And what she responded was that you have the worker bees, and we'll always have to make accommodations so they can live here in this expensive locale, and support the service industries and growing economy. But the middle class is constricting naturally, and the jobs that they have historically had or held are disappearing because of technological advances. And so it's really important, when I look at things, to develop your niche and become really good and dominate a specific area if you want to not only survive but thrive in this
change the space
market
that you're function in and are expert in.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yeah.
And so I just find that very interesting. Another thing that keeps coming up when I talk to these different economists, I had the pleasure of interviewing Leslie Appleton Young, the chief economist for CAR, the California Association of Realtors, the largest organization of its kind in the country.
Whom we've had the pleasure of seeing and chatting with down at the I Survived event of Bridge Norris.
Yes. And what a wonderful person. And
yes.
The thing I love about these people, they're not ego-driven, as you and I discussed, Tom. They're just like loving learning and loving teaching, and just a pleasure to talk to.
Excited about engaging in life, and you can certainly look at this process that we've been through as depressing and the sky's falling. But no, let's learn what we can learn, and how are there new opportunities out there, and where are things going, and how can I participate in it?
And if you want to survive and thrive, your mentality has to be like that. How can I change to accommodate the things that are happening in the economy? But one thing that keeps coming up too is population trends and demographics are changing the face of real estate here in the Bay Area. Rodoni shared too about the young affluence. That's the millennials, the group from 25 to 35. This is a particularly tech-savvy group, and they have education and technical skills that are securing them jobs in companies with large stock options and salaries that are making them wealthy much faster than their parents. Now, this is the group that was living with their parents, and the parents didn't know if they'd move out this last cycle, but they are growing up and they're taking over, and they were the second largest buyer of real estate in the last year, and they will become the number one buyer in the next 5 years. That's the 25 to 35 age group.
And is that locally or nationally?
That's within where they dominate. Mm-hmm. And so they're attracted to the more high-tech areas. And Silicon Valley isn't the only one, but it's the main drive. So that area, that could be 35% in this area, but 25% nationally.
Can we talk for a moment about someone wants to participate in these new exciting times? How do they find opportunities? What do they do to take advantage of this dynamic marketplace that we're in?
In terms of real estate, I think that the Silicon Valley market has appreciated rapidly. We have 30% plus appreciation in certain metros in the Bay Area over the last year, and there's no way to continue to sustain that kind of appreciation. And so have we missed the boat in terms of that? I think if you're looking for a home to live in, maybe there's still time, but would I be buying it for a long-term hold? Not unless I'm a very wealthy individual, because you're tying up a lot of cash. And so I think what I see investors doing, and what I have done, is move to more areas that have cash flow and that have long-term growth potential. And the metrics I look at there is, population growth, job growth, what's driving those markets, who will my renter be, what kind of a renter profile will they have, where are they working.
And you have out-of-state investments,
I
don't you?
I do. I'm invested in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and that metro is growing, and Dallas didn't go up and down and doesn't have those huge cycles, highs and lows that we experience on the coasts. But it's a good long-term play. It's not the sexiest market in the world, but it makes me laugh. Some of the houses, when I 1031 exchange, which is a way to shelter the taxes into Texas, I bought some newer houses, so I wanted to upgrade my inventory and
the quality.
The quality. And some of those houses are nicer than some of the houses I've had the pleasure of living in here. So, so they're nice houses.
That's the toughest problem I have sometimes when my clients go down to look at these little rental properties that they're going to contribute to their retirement. And it's kind of tough for them to swallow that some of those are nicer than what they're living in here.
Yeah, so if all else fails here, Tom, I'll just go live in one of my rental properties in Texas. So I have an exit strategy. But cash flow is important. And indeed. I think that's what we need to understand.
Yep. What else should we talk about? Your person you interviewed from Milan Pinnell, or I guess we should catch that when we get back from the break here. Maybe what your takeaway is from some of the common traits that you see in successful people that maybe will help them engage. Can we do that when we get back?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
We have with us today Geraldine Barry from SJREI Association, and the also publisher of the REI Voice magazine. And she's in studio today and sharing with us what's going on in this dynamic marketplace, how you can participate, what we learn, what our takeaways have been. So we'll be back here in just a moment. And this is Tom Wilson with Real Estate 360. This is KDOW 1220 AM, the Wall Street Business Network. We'll be right back.
For more information on today's program, visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Welcome back to Real Estate 360, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. Again, your host for today's edition of RE360 Radio, Tom K. Wilson.
Thanks for staying with us. We have Geraldine Barry in the studio with us today from SJREI Association. She's talking to us about her interview with Leslie Appleton Young, who's the chief economist of CAR, California Association of Realtors, that I've also had the pleasure of meeting and highly respect. As Geraldine was saying before, grounded, nothing, no ego about it. She just loves sharing information. What has she told you about what should we be looking for in the future?
Well, just a little point of interest. She celebrated 33 years with that organization. Just recently.
Wow.
33 years. So she's grown up with them. And she's a mother herself. She's 2 grown daughters. And it was just very interesting talking to her. But I said, if you can look at one metric to determine where the market is headed, what would that be? And that was inventory levels. It tells you about supply, demand, and if supply is high, prices are lower. If demand is high and inventory is limited. And so that's one metric you can look at in any market.
Because it gives you the net between those two variables that can be all over the place. But the net,
yeah, but it does tell you a lot. And then the other thing that I'd like to share with you, I had the pleasure of interviewing one of the top producing agents from Alan Pinnell, Elena Johal, for my magazine REI Voice. And what I really loved about her approach to selling real estate, she said, I don't care what the economy is doing. I didn't suffer any downturn in this recent market decline. She didn't focus on short sales or REOs. She just said, I consistently provided good service and I assumed the sale. Now, in addition, what's her point of difference? She provides landscaping and market staging of the homes included in her pricing. And so if you differentiate yourself like that, you're going to do well. This woman is incredibly hardworking and a mechanical engineer by training, and just very interesting.
And quality always sells, doesn't it? And you need to have something to differentiate yourself, but it's not a gimmick. It's something that has solid fundamental value, isn't it? Geraldine, tell our listeners about the organization's meetings.
Well, SJREI meets on a monthly basis, and we host incredibly good speakers. I mean, they're handpicked. Tom has been a speaker at the SJREI, but people who are immersed in the industry, whether it's from an economic perspective, just sharing with you what's going on in the markets. sjrei.org. You can take a look at our website and email me if you'd like to attend, and I'm happy to put you on the guest list.
I don't know of a better networking event to get great information and meet very interesting people.
And learn a lot. Yeah,
I really do. Gosh, isn't learning fun?
Yes.
And if you want a weekly economics newsletter that tells you what's going on and keeps you up to date in the world of real estate, go to TomWilsonProperties.com. We have that for you. We have a report to help you navigate through the methodology of selecting the best metro and product to invest in. And we always welcome your questions. We always welcome your suggestions on what guests to have next and what topics you'd like to hear. So thanks for being with us today. Thank you, Geraldine, for being with us again. We love to have you back
Tom.
Here before long. And remember, the only thing that matters is what you do next. This is Tom Wilson of the Real Estate 360, KDOW 1220 AM, the Wall Street Business Network.
You've been listening to Real Estate 360 on AM 1220 KDOW. For more information on today's program, visit RE360radio.com. That's RE360radio.com. AM 1220 KDOW.